guys? Welcome back to WCS America Challenger League, currently in a group involving Jaedong, Jim, Ian, and Drunken Boy. Right now, Jaedong up 1-0 against Ian. Pretty convincing victory in game one. Can Ian turn around and win 2 in a row? Kind of needs to.
It's going to be super tough. I mean, Jaedong ZvZ looks spectacular. He played that first game in such a manner that to beat him, you would have to just outplay him as far as micro and multitasking and macro went, because he didn't take any risks.
Yeah.
And he played an aggressive style, which meant his opponent couldn't take any risks either. Ian tried to take that risk, skipping and baiting nest, and Jaedong made him pay.
Yeah, so, you know, based on that info, does Ian change things up a little bit? Because I feel like, obviously, Jaedong made a little bit of investment, right, into Lings and Banelings early on. Not a crazy investment, not an all-in by any means, but it's one of those things, if Ian plays a little bit more defensively, and he has like 2 Banelings back home, he might enter the mid game with a little bit of advantage because he's not making as many Lings, potentially.
That's right. I mean, if you defend well, you can sometimes come up with like a 3 or 4 drone advantage. Of course, Jaedong might drone behind it, and it kind of goes relatively even from there.
Right.
And Jaedong's a player, I don't think he's too worried about being down by 3 drones for the 20 seconds it takes until he can catch up. And for him, he's willing to just get his opponent's face, control the tempo, get perfect sound information in order to make that sacrifice.
All right, here we are in game number 2 on the snowy, the cold Neo Planet S. In the top right-hand location, I present your RedZerG player from Team Yo Ironman, hailing from Taiwan. Needs to win 2 in a row here to advance to the winner's match of this group. He is Ian. Of course, Ian qualified for Challenger League through the qualifier, and then defeated Minigun 2-1, fell to Major 0-2 to get to this point. His opponent in the bottom left-hand location, representing Team Evil Geniuses. He's 1 win away from advancing to the winner's match to play against Jim. He is Jaedong.
So far in this group, the favorites showing why they're favorites. Jim with a dominant performance, 2-0 over Drunken Boy, and Jaedong looking fully in control of that last game against Ian. But we're seeing a little bit of divergence here. Ian going for it was a 15 pool, excuse me. It was a 15 pool, which is, I mean, he's just gonna go hatchery after it most likely. There's gonna be a pretty standard build. And one of the questions with this earlier pool is the couple things you can do with it. Now, you can go straight for the spawning pool, and then when it finishes, don't even make Zergni, just make drones, and then you're at basically an even situation against the hatchery first build. Or you could try to get some early units, you know, and do something funny there. But Jaedong, you know, with his Overlord, he'd see that. And so I think it's much more likely we'll see Eon just focus on drone production from that spawning pool. He only's getting it early for the faster queen, and also if his opponent did like a 6 pool, obviously it's nice to have those units early.
Getting a gas faster than his opponent, so might have a minor advantage as far as how fast speed can get out for those Lings, and of course how fast Banelings can get out. Something we'll keep an eye on. Not going to be a dramatic advantage. Only about 20 gas ahead, so not gonna be a huge deal. But again, fairly standard openings from both of these 2 guys.
Both of them on gonna be pretty much exactly even worker count. Of course, the hatchery first, you have a little bit more workers very early on because your opponent is saving us some money to get that queen very fast. But then the spawning pool player catches up very quickly because then the hatchery guy has to save up 3 minerals to get both their queens when those hatcheries complete. So overall, it's very even. You can see it's reflected in supplies as well. Jaedong ahead slightly, again, just because the speed investment was a little bit faster for Ian.
Of course, and now we're going to be looking out for the speed of the Baneling nest, whether or not the Baneling nest happens, and of course, a potential spine crawler. So let's really keep a close eye on where these guys are going to spend their gas. Obviously, the first 100 going to go towards speed. It's very important you get that right away.
Didn't actually mine 100 gas. He mined 88, and then he stopped mining. Which is really interesting. I think that maybe that's a reaction to seeing how the openings went and saying, you know what?
Are you suggesting that was on purpose?
I mean, Jaedong's not a guy who would
No, yeah, that's a great
not
point.
get
Yeah,
speed
you're
like
right.
that. I think it is. I think he's thinking, you know what? If I just want to macro up, I can have a little bit of a later speed tech. It could be what he's thinking. This is very late, though. Wait, did he just select the spawning pool? It looks like he did, so.
I mean, just having 88 gas right now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm not exactly sure what he's up to. He's prioritizing drones for sure, and he's going to get a little bit of a drone lead, I believe, doing this style. And as long as he can defend, and he'll be fine. He's giving up map control. But can Ian identify that, and then can Ian use that map control to get a faster third, or maybe just play a little greedier as far as tech goes?
100 gas. Still no speed from Jaedong. Adding on 2 Evo chambers and a spine crawler. And a layer.
Where did... Okay, I guess where his gas went. I saw his gas dip.
Yeah.
Like,
of course, 100 gas for
okay.
layer. I mean, obviously very defensive. Obviously giving up, as you said, map control. But what's going to really break through 2 Evo chambers and a queen and a spine, and 2 queens in the spine here?
Yeah, he's totally fine defensively. On the other hand, Ian has recognized this, so Ian doesn't have to get anything as far as defensive units. Now, the question is, what does Ian do? He knows he has map control. Does he go for a third, or in fact, 14 more Zergies from about Ian? This could be he wants to get enough units so he can make sure Jaedong can't take a third very early. He also is not taking Lair, so Jaedong's going to have both an upgrade advantage as far as the roaches go, and faster roach speed.
Speedling's coming out here for Ian. Now, he's going to have to really make these lings worth it here, I feel. Because, again, Jaedong is cutting a few corners. You know, skipping speed. He's getting +1 missile and +1 carapace already. Layer is done. I feel like right when that roach horn finishes, it's going to be roach speed. I don't see what else you would get the layer for at this point, especially when you're investing in a +1 missile. So once all this stuff finishes, I don't know what stops a 1-1 roach speed, roach timer.
I mean, the only thing Ian's going to have going for him is, of course, that defender's advantage is huge in Roach Mirror, as far as just the rally difference is going to be big. So he might not lose outright, but it is, you know, like you mentioned, Jaedong's cutting corners, but he wasn't sacrificing safety. You know, with the Evo wall and all the queens he has plenty of transfusions. He wasn't really in danger of dying. Of course, he would see an attack moving out, he could add more spines if he needed to. What he was giving up to cut these corners was map control, but Ian didn't utilize the map control yet. You know, he didn't try to take a fast third base. He didn't try to tech up and upgrade very greedily. In fact, he's making nothing but more speed. So he looks like he's going to commit to a giant attack here. He's taking a third behind us, but he's really focusing on unit production right now.
1-1's about to finish. Roach speed is about to finish. Jaedong has a ridiculous amount of roaches on the field. He's up in supply. I just don't see this working. I don't see this working for me.
So many transfuses as
Gosh,
well. And
why is Jaedong so good?
you know, he just doesn't miss a beat as far as his
like this game,
anything.
You could tell in his mind he knew how it would go from the 2-minute mark. And there's no way this attack works for him.
No.
And now 1-1 is done. Roach speed is done for Jaedong. What's to stop him from pushing across the map and killing his opponent?
Ian does have a lot of speed needs, or actually he lost a lot, but he's producing more, he still has some on the field, so maybe he can throw in a counterattack. Jaedong's gonna have to be careful as he pushes across the map. Yes, his army's stronger, but he's got to make sure he doesn't leave a hole open in his wall. He's got to make sure he's safe from this run-by attempt that he's
Keep
going
queens
for.
back, keep roaches back, don't let the lings by. Great position on those queens. These lings not going to be an issue to deal with. Meanwhile, the roach is going to start charging into his opponent's main base. Remember, he has 1-1, he has speed. Ian only has +1 carapace. Jaedong is going to overwhelm Ian in one of the most straightforward ZvZs I've seen in a very long time. 4 spines going to try to get finished up. If he can get those down, that's definitely going to be helpful, but is Jaedong going to let that happen? Is it going to matter?
Ian's units are being slaughtered here. With the amount of reinforcements Jaedong's doing, yeah, there he goes. There's a GG. I mean,
I want you to do rules engagement on that game.
That's a tyrant, man. That's a tyrant for you.
Can you do that?
You have no chance.
Please, for me?
I will consider it.
Okay.
I'll just see how the games go by the night. But you know what? That's why it's called a tyrant. Because when you try to play Jaedong, it's like a serf complaining against the king, and the king just chops his head off. It's just that. Yeah. It's that simple. It's like, no, you're going to lose. Boom.
So can you talk a little bit more about the decision to not get speed and kind of just going straight for layer? What allowed him to really feel comfortable doing that?
You know, it's a build you see a lot of. I've seen a lot of pro Zergs do actually do that build.
Right.
But what's interesting is that when most of the pro Zergs do that build, they don't get the gas at all. They just go straight gas, so let's get 4 queens very quickly, get a lot of drones, then they get double gas, roach warren, double evos, and then they start doing so.
And it works on NeoPlanet S because the natural ramp, it's very narrow.
And what's best about NeoPlanet S is that roaches aren't that fast, and so on bigger maps, by the time you cross the map, your opponent sees you coming and builds like 18 spines. We saw your NeoPlanet S. Ian started the spines as soon as Jaedong started attacking, or started moving as soon as he realized there was a counterattack coming, but they're only halfway done. So that's hugely why it works. He was also able to get that overworld kill, which put him in a nice little...
And honestly, even if those spines finish, like, why can't Jaedong just back up, take a third kind of a thing?
He could. I mean, Ian actually had a third done, but Jaedong could have killed that without a problem, of course.
Right.
So normally what Zergs do is, when they do this build, they don't get any gas at all, and their opening is actually smoother than what Jaedong did. I feel Jaedong might have got that gas as part of a mind game thing. Because if your opponent realizes off the bat you're not going to have Zergling speed, they can do some crazy builds. You know, they can just go nothing but drones, they can do fast thirds. And I think Ian assumed Jaedong would have speed needs, and so he was a little bit worried about that attack. And then Jaedong, of course, took guys off gas as soon as he realized there was no Zerglings going to scout his space or anything like that. And then Ian tried this interesting timing here. I actually have never seen like a hatchery tech like 9.
I think it's trying to exploit maybe a fast muta thing, maybe. I mean...
Maybe. Normally you would, I mean, if you're going to commit this much to attack and not tech...
Banelings kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think it would be something where most Zergs get a baiting nest and morph like a huge amount of baitings with that as well.
Wow. Well, 2 quick 2-0s here. Jaedong and Jim taking 2-0s over their opponents, but now they're going to play each other. That's going to be
This is going to be insane.
Yeah. Guys, stay tuned. We got Jim versus Jaedong, the winners match of Group B coming up. Stay tuned.